Hi, have you ever had the experience of being exhausted, but you plow ahead with a conversation anyway? Or being really upset, but saying, hey, I think we should continue on. I think we need to figure this out now. If so, I invite you to stick around with me because that's what this is going to be about. We're going to explore that together with a key offering of compassionate communication, nonviolent communication called being resourced. I'm Rob Eames. I'm a relationship coach and a certified trainer in nonviolent communication. And I recently wrote an article about how resourced am I? And so this is a companion to that article. In it, we're going to be talking about four things. One is what resourcing is, why it matters, ways to check in with how resourced you are and how resourced the others are in an interaction, and then what to do about it. And that includes how to tailor the interaction based upon how resourced you are, and then what you can do to fill your cup. So if there are times when you notice, I'm exhausted, but let's go ahead and talk about this anyway. Or I'm really upset, but we need to figure this out. Then I've been there too. Most of us have been there, where what likely happens next is that I bring less skills to it, and also that it's more likely that there's misunderstanding and hurts in that conversation. And so part of the context of an interaction that really matters is how resourced you are. And that's what this is all about. What does resourced mean? So a first step is understanding what nonviolent communication means by the word how resourced you are. It's not a term that I hear very often in popular circles, but it's often used in nonviolent communication. We talk about being resourced a lot. It's a simple way to point to a number of capacities and qualities. Like the gas gauge on your car, it points to from empty to full in all kinds of capacities. Clarity of thought, energy, uh, groundedness and calm, creativity and flexibility, compassion for myself and compassion for others. All those qualities that are important to check in about that. It offers one term to gauge what those things are. It offers one term to name what level of capacity you have at any given time across all those different dimensions. So why does it matter? Well, it really matters depending upon the importance of a particular conversation or interaction. Because the more important it is, or the more challenging it's going to be, the more resources would be helpful to draw upon in that interaction, in that conversation. When you're low resourced, it's more likely to interrupt, to defend, to criticize, to judge, to say things you don't mean. And so the level of resources are really important. When you're well resourced, you're more likely to have more access to skills, communication skills, verbal fluency, creativity about flexibility of options to consider, flexibility of interpretations, compassion for myself in understanding what it's like to be me, and compassion for others in terms of what it's like to be them. Same people, different capacities at different times. And so being mindful and having ways to check in with that, knowing what capacities we have, knowing where our gas tank gauge is, can really influence what we choose to do and when. Context really matters. And that's why a conversation that goes beautifully on a Saturday evening may tend to fall apart on a weekday evening after a very stressful day. Less resources, less capacity, less skills. So what are some simple ways and efficient, effective ways to check in about how resourced you are and how resourced the other people are in a situation? Well, the most simple and direct way is to ask. So I can pause and ask myself, how resourced am I right now? And that's holistically in terms of energy, in terms of attention, clarity of thought, in terms of compassion and groundedness and creativity. I can ask myself and I can ask the others, how resourced are you feeling right now? That can be at the start of an interaction and also during an interaction, right? Because that shifts over time. It can change throughout the day. We can become depleted as we expend those resources in an interaction. So it makes sense Hey, how resourced are you now? How resourced am I now? And then to check it out throughout the conversation as a continual way of asking for feedback. Self-understanding, understanding of the others. Another way is what's called the curiosity barometer. And this focuses on one piece of the capacity, which is curiosity. And so curiosity for what it's like to be the other people in this interaction. I can quickly ask myself to gauge my resources, how curious am I about what it's like to be them? And again, it's a continuum just like resourcing. If I'm really curious, oh, okay, I'm probably very resourced. I'm probably near full. I can be middling, I can be out of gas. So that sounds like I'm not curious at all. I'm overwhelmed with my own experience, right? And so that points to not being very resourced. So that's the curiosity barometer as another way to try on what works for you in real time. How resourced am I right now? A last one that I'll offer is the 9 Cs. This draws upon work in internal family systems offered by Dick Schwartz. And what's in IFS called 8 Cs, I've modified to add another one, the 9th C, choice. And so these are all easy to remember C's: calm, curiosity, choice, creativity, connection, confidence, courage, etc. And there's a companion resource linked below and also here, where you can try on in the moment, even scrolling through that or having it as a resource. How many of the C's do I have right now and to what level? And that also gives you a sense of how resourced you are. If any one of those is low, it could be an indicator that my fuel tank is low. So 3 ways to check in about how resourced you are in any given moment, and to offer to others in the interaction to check in about how resourced they are. And again, it's a continuum. And also, really importantly, it changes over time, and also through exertion, through expending those resources. So what to do about it? Well, the first thing is what to do about it in that interaction, planning for the interaction or in the midst of an interaction. If you notice that your resources are getting low, they're becoming depleted, or they were from the start, or the other person's are, then tailoring the conversation to match that. Hey, maybe we should do this another time. Hey, I really care about you and us. And can we talk about this tomorrow after I get some rest? Right? It can be tailoring, hey, can we talk about one small kind of easy slam dunk part of this conversation that fits how resourced we are now, given that it's 8 o'clock on a weekday afternoon, right? So you can navigate that with the other people. The other thing is that you can refill your cup. So one of them is by knowing some of the strategies that contribute to being more resourced. Now, it depends on how, what resources are calling for attention. If I'm exhausted, maybe taking a nap or waiting until I've had a good night's rest. If it is hunger, maybe after I've had a nutritious meal, right? Something that gives me some more energy. So you get the picture here that, sometimes it's, hey, if I need to reconnect to some calm after being upset, it might be a walk in the woods, being time in nature. It might be some space to have some fun and play. And so it might be connecting to some groundedness exercises or some movement or activity. And so there's a wide variety of ways that can refill your cup, that can contribute to how resourced you are. And this brings up a really important point, that the quality of our life, the balance, and the ways in which we have enlivening activities contribute to how we show up in relationships and contribute to how we show up in interactions. And so context really matters. And part of that context is how I am, how my life is going, how it feels, the ways in which I refuel, and the ways in which I contribute to things that fill me up, ways that I contribute to the world, ways in which that are enlivening or enjoyable for me. And so context really matters. Part of that context is how resourced I am. So in closing, hopefully this discussion of how resourced you are with the companion materials and these simple strategies for checking it out and for responding to it, and the reminders about that it really matters that we're responsive to refilling our cup really matter in our relationships. And they really matter in interactions. They matter in our collaborations. They matter in terms of how they feel and how they go, whether they lead to more connection, more understanding, a deeper sense of confidence and collaboration, or if they lead to hurts and misunderstandings just because you weren't resourced or you and the other people weren't resourced. And so it really matters. Context matters. What happened before the interaction? Your best understanding of how many resources this situation is going to take, and being able to do that moment to moment in real time, to check it out with me and to check it out with the other people involved. So I hope this resource was helpful for you. I hope exploring this here together. Thank you for being with me. I invite you to check out the resources below. If you'd like to be notified when I add more videos like this one, please hit subscribe. That way you'll in the notify button, and that way you'll be notified when there are more resources like this one. I invite you to add your comments to the comment section below. What you've learned by trying this on, what works well for you, so we can all benefit from our wisdom and sharing. So as a way to end, sometimes the best response isn't just, hey, let's solve this now, let's just plow ahead, even though we're upset or we're exhausted. Instead, hey, I care about you, I care about me, I care about us, so I think we should pause right now. I'm noticing that I'm depleted, I'm exhausted, I need to take a break. How about if we go for a walk in the woods? Or how about we pick this up tomorrow morning after a good night's sleep? So I hope this is helpful, and I'll see you next time.